Our Switch says it's 9:37 AM in sunny, kind of cloudy UK. My name's Kanan, and this is my review for Vesper Zerolight Edition. Is it me, or are names of games getting longer and longer these days? Anyway, it's a bit of a dark platformer puzzler with one of them story things running through it. But before we get to that, why not subscribe to the channel for weekly reviews and sales videos? And it really does help when you hit that like button as well, and thank you in advance. So let's get going, shall we? Engage. First up, the story. Seven, not 7 of 9, but Steven is a small android lost on an eerie planet full of perils and traces of an ancient civilization. There are logs that tell the story as you progress through the game, if you actually take the time to find them. And trust me, there's loads to read. Back to that later though. And so, at its heart, Vesper is a platform puzzler with simple but effective controls. It is me again. Hello. Yep. Okay, so the controls are quite simple, and they are quite simple. Your standard run, jump, left, right, and yeah, you can jump on platforms and all sorts of things. But what also you can do is you can take light like this out of certain things and then put them in other things. And this kind of light can work to activate platforms, deactivate platforms. So if I run into that now, then I will be destroyed. So yeah, it's your standard stuff, but that like drive gun kind of like adds more to it. It gives more options, like, you know, what I've just shown you, and also you can sort of like hypnotize in a way other creatures like these that you can see here and get them to do your bidding. Anywho, the platforming seems smooth, but rarely does anything really different from what you see early on. The puzzling is kept pretty simple earlier on. Open a door with a switch, hide in shadows to move past enemies, but later takes a nice little twist by mind controlling the enemies to use them to jump to higher levels or turn on switches that you cannot. Your mind. My mind. Looky there. So with that I can then like teleport up here, converse freely with my fellow things, and then I can activate 1 second magic. Things like this with it. Oh, which deactivates that down there, and then okay, this is kind of cruel. Boom. Yeah, it's cruel, isn't it? It's cruel. I'll put me back here. And then you can come down here, and that's a puzzle solved through controlling a creature and then destroying it. That is cruel, isn't it? I mean, that is nasty. Okay, so as well as all this, there are story logs you can collect, but partly because of playing the game in handheld mode, which I may say is the main way I play my games on the Switch, because to me that is partly the point of having a Switch, and also because I never really felt fully engaged in the story to be kind of bothered about it too much and read everything. So as you can imagine, I didn't really go around looking for these logs too much. But if you are one of these that do enjoy a good read and want to follow the story a little bit more, then they've got you covered here. There is a fair bit of reading to be done if you go looking for the logs. So here are the logs. Some of them are quite long. They're not like loads long, but I don't know. For me, it didn't really engage me enough to want to go around reading it all. So yeah, you might be different. If you are, then, well, there's plenty here for you. I will say though, the game has a very nice beginning and a cool intro that almost is reminiscent of film-like and kind of leaves you feeling this is going to be something more than just an average game. And I will say, just a feeling. But you can definitely tell that Vesper is trying to do its best to entertain you within its own boundaries, which is a kind of a bit of a shame because some of those boundaries are good and some are bad. Although one of the things I did actually enjoy was that there are little icons on the side of the screen for the enemies, as the screen does not move with you entirely, and you go from screen to screen. This means that when you're on a screen that an enemy has walked off, but due to the actual patterns of the enemies, they come back. And you can actually see it and how far away they are from the screen. It's a clever system. And then there's the environment itself. It certainly can be a harsh one with even explosive mushrooms, and as a vegan this puts me in a rather awkward position. I'm not quite sure whether they're mushrooms though. But then you get teleporters, lifts and the like. The gun thing has a few decent uses, but felt a little fiddly to use sometimes, especially in some of these in areas where you're being chased by an enemy or a something and you have to activate things quickly. It really doesn't hold up to the actual challenge too well. Although that being annoying, I think my biggest problem with the game is it does get a little samey as you go on. And if you're not interested in the story, then this gets worse and worse the more further you play. Visually, it's a bit of a treat though. There are some nice foregrounds as you've seen, and some nice background effects as well. And the water and grass that blows in the wind, or your reflection in the water, just simply lovely. But I did have, and I have to say, only a few little frame rate drops. The screen would kind of like skip or pause ever so slightly now and again, and it wasn't really specific to much. Sometimes not much was happening apart from wandering across the screen. Although saying this, no matter how good the visuals are, there was at times parts of just walking, doing nothing, and maybe jumping over a few things for a good few screens, and it felt boring. And I don't mean the actual, because there were bits of pure platforming, that was alright. But there are literally bits where you just was not doing anything, and you just Miranda slowly where you need to go to. That and some of the cutscene parts felt really dull, and again slow to endure. And some made you actually walk slow in parts for I don't know why. It just really damaged the pacing of the game to such a degree. I just wanted to put it down. Moving on to the audio, that was actually atmospheric and rather industrial at times, fitting, well, the theme. But there was nothing really to blow me away on this side of things. The good. That indicator on the side of the screen for the enemies was pretty cool. It looks great, and yes, there are multiple endings. The bad. Writing is a little small in handheld mode. I did not feel like the story kept me invested in it. Felt a little samey at times. A lot of walking around in parts and not really doing much. Felt a little slow in parts. It's not a terrible price for what you get, I will say that. There are some interesting endings which add some replayability if you desire to go get them. For me though, there were too many ups and downs and parts of really nothing happening. A little above average I would say, and for that I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I felt this game wasn't made for me but someone else that just wanted a relaxing little story puzzle platformer game that didn't engage me the way I wanted it to engage me. But I think for those that want a slower paced platform puzzler, this is probably for you. And before we get to my alternative, and thank you for watching, why not subscribe to the channel for more reviews and sales videos each and every week. And also liking the video really does help small channels like mine grow. And that, not just mine, everybody's. If you've enjoyed their video, like it. And let's dig up that alt. Don't know why I said dig up. But it's going to be this week, Limbo. It's kind of like a platform puzzler type game, but a bit more scary. It's full of atmosphere. I love this game. If you're not into your spiders, don't play it because it'll scare you almost straight away. But as usual, if you've got a better alternative, leave it down below, as well as your well, thoughts or any comments that you may have on Vesperzerolight Edition. And with that, if you'd like to continue the conversation, come join us in our community Discord, and we can do just that, because life is better when we switch together.